So welcome back to Financial Accounting 1. And as promised, I'm doing this little video to help you do well on exam number 2. Actually, I'm hoping you all ace exam number 2. So if I was going to get 100, if I wanted to get 100% on exam number 2, what would I need to do well? So I don't take myself too seriously, but I have been teaching this accounting at the college level for many years. I also have prepared the exam that you're taking. And I also have prepared and marked the first exam so I can kind of see where people lost their way. And I had to pull that all together and give you people 5 things to focus on, or five. I think God gave us 5 fingers on each hand for a reason, because the truth of the matter is it's difficult for any of us to remember more than 5 things. So, how to ace the exam? Said another way, what are some specific things that you can do to do well on the exam? Well, the first thing that I would suggest, so I figure out how to advance my slide here, is to learn from the maximum from the practice exam. So not to sound like a broken record, but what I encourage you to do is take the practice exam, lock yourself in a room for 30 minutes, no, sorry, for 90 minutes, answer all the questions, then sit down with your exam as it was, as you completed it, and watch me review each of the exam questions with you and give yourself a grade. And when you do that, what you can see is you'll know where your focus, where your weak areas are. And I would suggest you focus in those areas which you are weak. So there's 20 multiple choice questions. There are 4 chapters that we went over. So this exam covers chapters 5, chapter 6, chapter 8, and chapter 9. So if you draw a line, you'll see that the first 5 questions are from chapter 5. The next 5 are from chapter 6. The next 5 are from chapter 8. The next 5 are chapter 9. So that'll point out the chapters with regard to the multiple choice content that you're weak at. And also it'll tell you those things that you really need to focus on. So identify your, based on the practice exam, having taken it under exam conditions, having watched my video, having graded it, figure out where your weak areas are. And third thing I would suggest is, since the exam has 20 multiple choice questions, both your practice exam and your real exam, do all the multiple choice questions that are at the back of each chapter and learn from your mistakes. So those multiple choice questions appear at the back of the chapter. Go ahead and answer those questions, then check out what the right answer is, see if you get it right. And then it will point you and give you an explanation. And if you get it wrong, where you screwed up. So that's the third thing. Do all the multiple choice questions at the back of each chapter. Next is to use the Wiley Plus tools. There's a whole bunch of tools on there. The ones I particularly like are the flashcards, which is a good way of mastering the materials. So there are glossaries at the back of each chapter. So for each chapter, you might want to go in and work with the flashcards. Also, there are targeted, I like particularly the targeted tutorials. So for instance, if one of the areas that you're weak on is preparing a multiple step income statement, which I believe was one of the questions on the practice exam, then go to the tutorial and find the little in the Wiley Plus there for each chapter, find the tutorial that specifically focuses in on the area that you're weak on. So use the Wiley Plus tools. I particularly recommend flashcards and the target tutorials. And the other thing is that the practice exam is not the same as the real exam, but it's likely to focus on the same things with regard to the questions at the end, the little exercises that are worth 40 points. So there was the practice exam had one on a multiple step income statement. You're likely to have to do a multiple step statement again. It might be a little bit more complex. It might have more things in it, but it's a multiple step income statement. Second, you had a question on FIFO inventory under the periodic method. So you're likely to get a periodic method question as well that's going to be similar. It may not be on LIFO. It may focus on LIFO, or it may be on weighted average, but you get the point. You know there's going to be a question on coming up with the ending inventory and coming up with the cost of goods sold based on a fact pattern where you have changing prices. You had to do a bank reconciliation in the practice exam. You know you're most likely going to have to do a bank reconciliation on the real exam. And then you had a question on the practice exam about coming up with bad debts. And then also, in addition to the bad debts, coming up with the ratios in terms of, the age of the receivables, the receivables turnover and so forth. So whatever ratios that you had to compute in the practice exam, you're likely to have to do in the real exam. All right, so let's go over those again. So learn the maximum from the practice exam. If you haven't done it yet, go do the practice exam. Then only after you've done the practice exam, then watch my video and see what you did wrong or what you got right. Focus, find out where your weak areas are, focus on those weak areas. Do all the multiple choice questions at the back of each chapter. Again, learn from your mistakes. Use the Wiley tools, the flashcards and the target tutorials. There may be other stuff there that you may like. And then expect to have to do a multiple income statement, expect to have an inventory problem that could be either FIFO, LIFO, weighted average. Expect to be able to prepare a bank reconciliation. Expect to be able to compute bad debts expense under the allowance method and compute the ratios having to do with how well you manage accounts receivable. So those are the 5 things I would suggest. And now as an added bonus, I'm going to, if I can do this, I'm going to take you right into Wiley Plus. Okay, so I'm hoping you're not seeing this for the first time. So what you should see on your screen now is the home page for the our course, Financial Accounting 1. All right, I'm going to go to the content. And I'm going to select Wiley Plus, and I'm going to the Wiley Plus course resources. And you've got this for each chapter. So what I'm going to do though first, we're going to focus just on chapter. So what I do for chapter 5, you can do yourself for chapter 6, chapter 8, and chapter 9. I recommend you go to all 4 chapters. So I'm going to actually launch the electronic textbook up at the top there. And I know it's kind of at the back of chapter 5. So here we are at the back of chapter 5. Scroll around a little bit. Hopefully you're not opening this textbook for the first time. And notice at the back of each chapter here, there's a little review, tells you what the objectives were for the chapter and what you're expected to do. There is a glossary there for you. So each of the terms in there are defined. These are going to be very similar to the flashcards. And there you are with the multiple choice questions. So it says gross profit will result if operating expenses are less than net income, sales are greater than operating, sales are greater than cost of goods sold. So you say, okay, which of those is the best answer? I'm going to say it's C. And let's see here, gross, yep, it is C, okay? But if I had picked something else, it would tell me where I screwed up, okay? And it tells me this, so this is what I mean, practice the multiple choice questions. You've already gone through these in the, you had four or five from each chapter. Here you've got 10 from each chapter. So if I'm going to test you on a multiple choice, chances are it's going to have to deal with some of the same questions that are included here. So here's how to find the multiple choice questions. Let's go back, see if we can get back to Wiley Tools. And now I'm going to laser in on chapter 5, accounting for merchandising companies. And I'm going to focus in on the course resources for chapter 5. And this should open up for me. Oops. I don't know why that didn't open up for me. Chapter 5. There we go. Okay. So I like the flashcards here. So let's see if we can find the flashcards here. Flashcards, there we are. Okay, so you've got what you can do is you can go to the glossary. Okay, you can go to the cards. Okay, you can take a little quiz, stuff like that. So I would recommend you play with these flashcards. That's a good way of reviewing the chapter. And again, it's a good diagnosis where you can see if you're making errors, you can figure out where the errors are. Okay. And the other thing that I would recommend is these targeted tutorials. So Wiley Plus. So let's see. For instance, I suggested you're likely to have a multiple step income statement here. So let's see, interactive tutorial. Let's see if there is one, an interactive tutorial. We're preparing a recording sales. Where is it here? Here you go. Interactive tutorial. Learning objective, preparing a multiple step income statement. So I click here. And I would like sound. I don't know how this is going to come out. So if you look here, there are 17 little slides in this presentation. So we know this one has to do with the multiple step income statement. Okay, so you get the point here. So this is the little targeted tutorial. So again, if you have an area that you're weak in, what it enables you to do is focus in on that area and take a little tutorial. So there's 17 slides. I'll just do one more. I got to wait till she stops. Thank you. Okay, so I hope you get the point there. Right. So we saw in terms of Wiley Plus, what I did for chapter 5, you can find the flashcards, you can find the targeted tutorials, and you could also find the multiple choice questions at the back of each chapter. All right, so let's stop sharing here. Stop share. And let's go back and conclude here. So if you want to ace the exam, I would hope you'll get 100 on the exam. Get the maximum at the practice exam, focus in on your weak areas, do all the multiple choice questions, use the Wiley Plus tools, and be able to expect to have these exercises. Multiple step income statements, an inventory problem, bank reconciliation, bad debts expense under the allowance method together with the financial ratios. Okay, good luck, everybody. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. My hope and expectation is you all really do well on the second exam. I hope you take my advice and you apply it, and I will see you on Wednesday. Don't forget, you have your discussion board open should you have any questions. And you can either put those at the question level, the chapter level, or you could go and put them at just the exam. Exam 2, there are questions, place to deposit questions either way. All right, enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Good luck. Good night, everybody.